Alrighty, welcome everybody to Project and Portfolio 2. Congratulations on getting it this far in the degree. I know that these courses can be challenging, and this is definitely just the beginning. So what we're going to be getting into here is simulating what it's like to be working in a level design studio. Right, you'll see that at the bottom of the slide there. Project and Portfolio 2, a Scraps level design studio. Right, so Scraps is going to be the game that we're all working on, right? So part of this class and part of this learning environment is working on games that aren't your own ideas, right? So you're going to be creating a level that's within the Scraps game, right? Within the Scraps universe. So you're going to have control and you're going to be able to design certain things within the level, but you're not able to change and modify things about the game that is Scraps. Right, so it's going to be simulating what it's like to be working in that type of environment, in that industry where you're working on another person's ideas and creating levels for that game. All right, first and foremost, just getting into, about myself. My name is Andrew O'Connor. I'm the course director of this course. There you'll see my email and my Skype contact. You can also find that in my profile on FSO. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a game art graduate. I graduated from Full Sail in 2011, mostly specializing in environmental modeling, character rigging, animation, whether it be character animation or environmental pieces that are animated. I do enjoy texturing and level design, definitely my strengths. And there's just some of the projects that I work on. So a little bit about my career. Right out of school in 2011, I got some odds and ends jobs. Right, so Umbaga Timeshare, as an example, it was a timeshare company that wanted a character that was modeled and had a fur system that was rigged to animate and could talk. Right, so they wanted to basically create a 10-second cutscene or a 10-second little commercial of this character dropping in from the top of the screen and falling on his butt, and then just saying a one line like, my name's Umbaga. Come check out what I did to timeshare. That's all they wanted him to say, right? So we got that character working. I created the rig and handed off to the rig to the animators and continued to troubleshoot and work with the rig and improve it as they were animating it and finished up that project. So that was just the very first job I got right out of school. It definitely something you'll notice wasn't a game job, but it was just something I could get my foot into the industry. Then I was working on Ramayan Wars, which is a mobile title for an instructor that I worked closely with at Full Sail. He was contracted by another company to work on it, and I was continuing to work on rigs and animation for that. And then Gelatennis and Rally Copters are two of the games that I worked on with Final Project staff and instructors. Rally Copters you can find on PlayStation 4 and PS Vita, and definitely one of my biggest accomplishments. And then Anthony Lauder is our lab specialist. Right, he's a game design graduate right from Full Sail. He came through the campus degree program, and there is his email information for you. His Skype, you can see that long string of characters there. You can type that in, but you can also just search his name as you'll see it there, and it will pop up in Skype. So definitely understand that if you're a campus student or an online student, it doesn't matter. Everyone has access to Anthony. So feel free to, I'm pretty sure when you guys message in FSO, it will send a message to both of us. But feel free to add him on Skype, send him an email. Pretty much use both of us as point of contacts or your instructor if I'm not on your section. But know that Anthony is available to you. One of the many resources that we have to help you guys out during this course. All right. So if you're a campus student, right, definitely try to maintain a professional environment, right? So it's a few of the things that you want to avoid, and some of my pet peeves: eating, sleeping, and just being completely off task in class to where you're distracting other people. So during our break, you'll be able to grab some lunch. If you need to have, a bottle of water or something like that, or if you need to have a small snack with you in the classroom, that's totally fine, but just don't come in with a whole lunch. All right, so now we're going to get into the midterm project, right? What are we actually doing? What are we actually working on in this course or in the next upcoming months? So you're just about getting to the halfway point in the degree program, right? When you finish Project and Portfolio 3, you're going to have your associate's degree. All right, so you're trucking along about halfway completed, and then you can continue on with the courses to get the bachelor's. All right, so what we're doing here is this is the very first month of your midterm project. All right, and now we can break down what we're going to be doing in each individual month. All right, so getting into it, project and portfolio 2. Right, the overall goal of this course is to create a level design map inside of Google Draw, right, and then also prove that you can build and complete that map. Right, so there's going to be a set of technical assignments that can showcase that you understand how Perforce and how Unity works, and you can build the level, right? So that's going to be the technical side of things, and then the creative side is actually designing and building that map. So all of the design for the project, well, I shouldn't say all, but most of the design for this project takes place in this course, right? I've heard from level design and Des 3 students that oftentimes they're just implementing in level design. And yes, you can make design decisions when problems come up or when you need to adjust how you're implementing, but all of the design and the backbone will take place in this course. All right. So then in level design, so campus students, this will be pretty much your very next course. Online students, you guys will be taking statistics, and then you will be jumping into level design. So it won't be the direct following month, but it will be very, very soon after project and portfolio 2. All right, so in level design, you're going to just be implementing the map that you built in project and portfolio 2 into the 3D engine. All right, so by the end of this month, you'll have a fully functioning level, right? So all the gameplay will work. The level will be completely blocked out, as you see in that picture there, right? So we're not focusing at all about aesthetics or textures or materials, what the game looks like, right? You'll see everything has the grid pattern. Your character is the small little block guy, right? It's not a finished 3D model, but it's a fully functioning game with player communication, player feedback, and we can play, or a fully functioning level, right? We can play through the level from start to finish. That is the goal. Then in project and portfolio 3, you're going to add that visual polish. And when doing so, you're going to be combining into teams. So in project and portfolio 2, you're going to create your own individual map. In level design, you're going to create your own individual area from that map. Then in project and portfolio 3, you take those individual areas and combine them into one larger level, right? So everything is going to be consistent where it will line up seamlessly from one student's area onto the next, right? And now this will present you with a few other types of design choices and opportunities to plan ways to transition from one student's area to the next to connect them well, and also start to borrow and build off of others' mechanics, right? So if I've built pressure plates in my level and Kyle has built exploding barrels, now we can design a scenario where we use pressure plates and exploding barrels together. So it's starting to take these individual areas and tie them together in a larger level, right? So I like to showcase the overall plan of that so you can see month to month to month, so you understand eventually you're going to end up in a team, right? So if you think about that now, about how you can plan for that, and inside the design in your map, it will make you that much more successful in all 3 courses. All right, so now you're probably wondering,
you do here,
right? So what is it that we do here? What is it that we do in this course? How come I'm not just having you guys go ahead and start by creating your map right now, right? Day 1, all right, guys, go ahead and create your map, and I'll see you again in 4 weeks. No, there's going to be a lot of in between that we need to tackle, right, to show that progression. I know for most of the students that come through this course, they may never have built a level before, and ones that have oftentimes haven't gone to the extensive planning, inside of a documentation and then inside of a 2D map. So I know this is a new process for everybody, right? During the course, we're going to have 2 tracks, right? I like to call them a track. So you can think about these as a sequence of assignments, right? We have the creative track and we have the technical track. right? And they're going to run side by side, right? Because keep that in mind. It's the creative track is not week 1 and 2, and technical track is week 3 and 4. No, they're going to be running simultaneously alongside each other. All right, so now I'll go over what each one of those tracks are and what it's made up of. All right, so first in the creative track, you're going to start with the brainstorming assignment. So hopefully by now you know that a game designer isn't just that person that comes up with ideas all day for a living, right? So that job doesn't exist, and I'm sure everybody knows that. But in this assignment, you get to be that idea person, right? You get to come up with all of those ideas, and you'll probably start to notice that this is tough, right? Coming up with tons of ideas, day after day is a very challenging thing, right? But this will show you different ways to generate those ideas and different ways you can force yourself to be creative. Then from there into the brainstorming assignment, we'll move into the level design document. So this is just a short 2 to 3 page document that pretty much showcases everything your level is going to include. All of the interactions, all the mechanics, the player's goal, the overall asset that you're going to be using, everything that you're going to be doing in the level should be showcased in the level design document. So you'll take the ideas that you've generated in the brainstorming and organize them and fill them into place inside the level design document. Then from there, you're going to create a flow chart, right? And I know that everyone did a bunch of flow charting in GD1, and you have a lot of experience with that. So you're going to take that knowledge and apply it to what we're doing here, which is a level flow chart, right? So that is going to talk about the overall plan for how the level progresses from one area to the next, the overall flow and planning of the level, where interactions take place, and how the player gets from one interaction to the next. Once you've completed the flowchart, you move on to the map, right? So you might have seen, if you looked on FSO, and you'll see there you have the map rough. You get 2 attempts at the map, right? Two basically submissions of it that you can turn in and submit for feedback as well as a grade, right? 2 times that we're going to be evaluating you on your progress with the map. So you'll work on your map. This is going to be a 2D top-down representation of everything you're going to be building in Unity, and then you'll be able to turn it in. I'll give you feedback. You'll actually get feedback from your peers as well. So your peers will be able to comment directly right on your map. It's one of the ILA assignments, and oftentimes a way to just get a bunch of feedback and review it and then move on from there. Right? Then it'll be your final map, right? So you can review all that feedback, add in those details, add in any player communication that you need, anything that helps start to understand what is going on in the map and communicate your overall design, right? The map itself is your portfolio piece, right? So what's nice about this is you're going to have this plan right here that you've built, and then in Des 3 you're going to end up with that finished level, right? You'll also have a video, right? During Des 3 you have your playable level that's an executable, and then you'll also be recording videos to present your work. So what's nice about that is you're going to have the map and then you have the video of your level, and that can show you the progression to where here is the design I started with and this is the level I finished with, right? And then that in between, that journey that you took and the stories that you have, that is your fuel for interviews, and that's your fuel to talk about the design choices, and I ran into this problem and I solved it this way. So you'll have your map to showcase the overall design, and then you have your video to show the implementation and the progression that had happened. So the creative track is very important, right? So you'll see here everything builds off of one another. So definitely don't skip out in the first part, right? Some students, avoid the brainstorming and level design document, and then the rest of the month is an uphill battle. So try and stay on top of these, and make sure that you get one after the other. And even if you miss one or you're late on the day with one of the assignments, you can always turn it in for late points. You can review the late policy in the course, as well as it's still helpful to complete it to go on to the next assignment. So A real quick review, the brainstorming and level design document, these answer the question of what is the player doing in the level? What are the interactions? The flowchart will answer the question of how does the level progress? How does the player get from one interaction to the next? And then the map rough and the map final, this is just an overall layout, an overall floor plan that represents what the level looks like, right? Without knowing what we're doing and how we get from one area to the next, what it looks like won't really matter. This is the very final step. This is the polish phase, right? So make sure you start with the core and work your way through. All right, so moving on to the technical track, right? We'll quickly go through this and then I'll take any questions. So into the technical track, we're going to start by just learning and setting up our Unity and Perforce and get those to work together with each other. So I know you've had some decent exposure at this point to Unity through design tools and PNP1. So I know you've used Unity up until that point in those courses. And then Perforce, I know you've had just a very brief exposure to in design tools. So this we're going to jump into further depths this month. Now you're going to actually be connecting to a server. You're going to have your own username. You're going to be able to log into our server, and you're going to be able to set up your Unity project and use this as your backup, right? So while you're working on your Unity assignments, you're going to have Perforce there in the background, and you're able to save and submit your work to the server, right? Because we know sometimes working with game engines and working with Unity, things might randomly happen to where, the engine, could just crash or something can go wrong and a file can become corrupted. By having our work on the server, we're making sure that we have a backup copy. So we're going to really practice this month using Unity and Perforce together. Also, I'll definitely bring up at this point, all of our assignments that are going to be submitted for grades are going to be turned into the Perforce server. And we have that all in detail into going in how to do that. But the reason why is because when you're out in the industry, you're not going to be using FSO, right? You're not going to be using that type of software on a website. You're going to be using some types of version control and these pieces of software. So by turning in our assignments on to the server, it shows that understanding that you can add files to the server, and you show that basic level of understanding. So that's why we're going to be submitting our work onto Perforce. All right. So once we have our project set up and we have the basic understanding of Perforce, we're going to move into the visuals assignment. Okay. So in this assignment, you're going to be provided an image. I give everybody an image. Everyone will be working on the same image. And you're to recreate it in Unity as best as possible, right? So you might be looking at the image there and being like, oh my God, this guy wants us to take this image and make it just like that, right? He wants us to put graffiti on the walls. He wants us to, make this door look broken and all these little debris piles and create all this foliage in the background. And oh my God, how am I going to do all of this? No, don't think of it that high level of detail, right? We don't have to make this look one-to-one. Think about this in terms of a level design exercise and thinking about blocking out and proportion and structure, right? So think about all of the major shapes and the major structures that you see, right? And create those in a way that resembles the image, right? Focus on scale and proportion. The game we're going to be working on is a third-person game where we can actually see our character, right? So using the character and making sure our environments are built to scale is very, very important, right? So that's what you want to be focusing on for the visuals assignment first and foremost. We'll get into more of that in the upcoming lecture and upcoming videos. We have details about the visuals assignment as well, but for this assignment, think of it as like a quiz or an evaluation to see where you are with your skills with Unity, right? And this assignment will also teach you about being able to take a look at a reference image and break it down and analyze it, and then try to recreate that in a 3D space, right? Because we're looking at a flat 2D image, there's some questions that you'll have when working on these types of exercises that you won't be able to know the direct answer, right? Like what's over here to the left of these stairs, right? We don't know that answer. So there'll be things that you have to fill in the gaps yourself and become creative with it. So with an assignment like this, we're just looking that it resembles the scene, and there's that similarity to it and the overall scale to the player and to the world. All right, from there, after the visuals, we'll get into the wind turbine. So this is definitely one of the most challenging technical assignments in the course, but this really showcases a good amount of knowledge to build an entire level in Unity. If you can complete this exercise without any problems, you'll be able to create a successful Scraps level. So in this exercise, it's a three-part series where we first go over creating a complex game object and setting up that hierarchy. And that's important because in the second experiment, we go over setting up the animations and getting the animator built with the different states, which will allow it to transition from state to state when we want it to. And then in the third experiment, we get into creating an actual trigger volume. So I know in PNP1 you guys used the generic behavior, where you're able to, have that on trigger enter, on trigger exit with that basic component. We're going to get into the script where we're going to be writing that script itself and attaching it to our trigger volume, and as well as playing sound effects. So the third experiment will be going over the interactions to get that animation to play when we want it to based on a player interaction, and then playing a sound effect when that interaction happens. So it's a really awesome set of experiments that you'll be jumping into, and then from there, with that knowledge, you'll be creating your entryway, right? So the wind turbine is an ILA, a series of ILA assignments, and then the entryway is your graded assignment, right? So we walk you through and step by step go through the wind turbine, and then afterwards, we just say, go ahead now and create the entryway. What you'll realize from this is once you have this understanding of how to animate an object, you'll notice that it was all the same process, right? Whether you're animating a wind turbine to spin or a door to open and close, or you're animating a camera to be a cutscene, it's all the same process that you'll go through. So it is a really good way to take what you've applied or take what you've learned and apply it to the next assignment. Then from there, we go on to a series of rigid body experiments that you'll be doing in week 4. These experiments will cover things about how to set up objects with our GravNull, how to set collision onto specific and custom objects, and then we'll also cover the hinge joint and different types of joints and constraints inside Unity and how you can use those to benefit your actual level in your project you're working on. Once you've done all of that, you'll take the final exam. So the final exam is a compilation of a lot of what you've learned up here about basic Perforce knowledge and how Perforce works with Unity, and then also the information that you've gained, the knowledge that you've gained from the rigid bodies. There will be that information as well on the final exam. So what you've also may have noticed is that all of the assignments are open from the beginning of the month, to now, or basically from now until the end of the month. Everything is open besides the final exam. So make sure that you can look ahead at those and ask any questions if you have any. We're definitely here to help you out and go over any of the material if it's unclear to you.